Ripples at Work is an online initiative that aims to trial and refine new educational model with the goal of establishing an online knowledge production tournament, Ripples at Work Games. This is the 7th video in the Ripples at Work introductory series. I'm Dr. Lena Redman, Russian-born Australian independent educational researcher, and I invite you to this exploratory and, as you will see, groundbreaking project. In the previous video, we established that as a new model for teaching and learning, Ripples at Work sets itself the task of creating an edu-system where a student is provided with conditions to self-design a unique repertoire of beneficial knowledge and skills that becomes a solid platform for succeeding in the complex, changeable, and extremely competitive surrounding of contemporary life. I keep repeating that competition is extreme. Competition, of course, is not a new market condition, but what I'm trying to emphasize here is its severity. Driven by technological advances, individuals now compete in global arena with the rapid increase of the number of competitors as well as their continuously improving professional skills. When we talk about cognitive processes and mental schemata, we have to agree that these concepts, including the concept of the mind, are abstract. Thus, we cannot talk about them in any ways other than metaphorical. Piaget's terms, mental schemata, cognitive assimilation, and accommodation are all metaphorical. My replacement of Piaget's metaphors is an attempt to make the meaning of these terms less abstract and easier to envision. Mental schemata, the existing cognitive organization of individual knowledge and skills resulting from early experiences, seem to me to be better represented by the term cognitive structures. It carries a connotation of solidness, but at the same time allows us to see it as flexible enough to be continuously reconfigured. New information can be let in to existing cognitive structures if there is some organic coherence between the two, and the existing structures contain enough links to individual interests to anchor new information to them. Letting in and anchoring are our terms for the process of assimilation. Another aspect of making meaning of new experience is defined by Piaget as accommodation. Our metaphor for this process is mooring. That is not just connecting the dots between newly constructed meaning of the experience and the corresponding areas of the structures, but making knots and weaving new patterns and therefore modifying existing cognitive structures. I think that the analogies of letting in, anchoring, and mooring work well because they can be extended further to include hooks, ropes, and knots with which we can identify other aspects of learning that are used in the process of cognitive development. The most effective cognitive hooks, ropes, and knots in the circular dynamic of anchoring and mooring are personal predispositions, existing knowledge and skills, personal interests, individual curiosity, natural talents, and genuine concerns of the individual learner. We can categorize all these as individual tendencies, which can also be referred to as individual irregularities. So far, we have established that Ripples at Work defines the conditions of modern life as highly unstable, where the change is the only permanence. and uncertainty the only certainty, as philosopher Zygmunt Bauman put it. In other words, the world that our students or children need to succeed in is highly unstable, uncertain, and threatening us with the exponential rise of machines that are physically stronger, faster and more reliable at solving problems, have better memory capacity, and provide the most sophisticated cyber system for controlling humans. In view of this, Ripples at Work addresses these questions. 1. Where can an individual find a point of stability in a precarious modern environment? 2. How can this point of stability be transformed into a steady platform, a repertoire of knowledge and skills that can withstand the pressure of highly volatile circumstances? As discussed earlier, Darwin's theory of natural selection can provide us with an indicator of such stability. As Darwin argued, through interacting with the environment, an individual's beneficial variations allow them to overcome the instability in their surroundings in their own unique way. Consider the Arctic hare and its unique way of changing the color of its coat from brown or gray in summer to white in winter. It's part of its survival system, camouflaging itself in accordance with the changes in the environment. As much as we can talk about the beneficial results of such natural selection, we can't find in it any deliberate application of some sort of intelligence on the hare's part. It has just happened, so to speak. In his Origin of Species, Darwin, however, gives another example. He observes the intentions of gardeners tending strawberry plants. He writes, as soon as gardeners picked out individual plant with slightly larger, earlier or better fruit and raised seedlings from them, and again picked out the best seedlings and bred from them, many admirable varieties of the strawberry were raised. Darwin continues, these individual differences are of the highest importance to us, as they afford materials for natural selection to act on and accumulate. Darwin concludes, this preservation of favorable individual differences and variations, and the destruction of those which are injurious, I have called natural selection, or the survival of the fittest. For our purposes, let's make it clear, what are strawberries and who are gardeners? In our Ripples at Work edu system, the gardener is not a teacher, but a learner. And the strawberries are not the students, but the individual tendencies of the learner. It is the learner who cultivates him or herself, building on their beneficial individual tendencies. And here is the linchpin that holds the Ripples at Work learning model together. The difference between the Arctic hare and the individual Ripples at Work learner is that his or her activity is built on their intentionality and becomes their individual agency. Individual agency, therefore, is the capacity to recognize beneficial individual irregularities and formulate possibilities for acting on and accumulating them within a given context. If any accidental, non-intentional events produce some beneficial result, they are reflected upon, and if confirmed beneficial, applied to the approach intentionally. Having interests and talents doesn't by itself imply having agency. but developing an insight by connecting recognized individual irregularities with certain aspects of a specific situation and acting on that insight is what we see as individual agency. So, this means that intentional acting on individual natural dispositions, existing knowledge and skills, personal curiosity, interests and talents, acting on these individual tendencies or irregularities, that's what we define as individual agency. Application of individual agency is the opposite of the passive principle of go with the flow. Agency can realize itself by coming up with unusual ideas, inventive use of the available resources and tools, developing smart habits, trying unconventional approaches and reflecting on these actions. So there is a continuous circularity of trying something new, brave, something meaningful to yourself and others, and reflecting critically on it. This is one of the most important aspects of Ripples at Work learning, which is the shift in the balance of agency from teacher to learner, and move from the prescribed knowledge and strategies to learner's individual construction of meaning. In a complex, changeable, and extremely competitive world, we see an individual agency as a stable platform enabling an individual to effectively navigate towards their goals through the uncharted and unpredictable medium of their surroundings. These conditions of modern life can be compared to a whitewater ripple work, an individual agency to a life-savvy whitewater raft, something that an individual can move on through the churning waters of modern conditions of life. The raft represents the individual tendencies, the dispositions, knowledge, skills, interests, and so on of the learner. And the skill of navigating is the ability to apply those tendencies to solve a specific problem. Learners gradually self-design their life-saving raft and develop corresponding skills in using it, building on their existing individual tendencies to maximize their potential. The operational anchors, hooks, and ropes are our analogies for the individual tendencies of the learner, dispositions, existing knowledge and skills, interests, and so on. But now, how do you catch the rope and make the knots? Or in other words, what are the operational strategies for the individual to act on his or her tendencies, and by doing so, develop the individual agency? That is what we will be looking at in the next video. So, if you are a parent, a teacher, an educational researcher, or a student who is concerned with how our young people should be prepared for a successful life in a new world, join us in our Facebook Ripples at Work trials. Visit the Ripples at Work Facebook page, where you can find printable pages that accompany each video. Fill in the form to register yourself as a participant, and I'll see you soon in our exciting and very important project to develop and assert individual agency while living successfully in the world together with others.